South Korea has become a hotspot for so-called no-kid zones, which are basically businesses like cafes, restaurants, museums that do not allow children, or in some cases, they will allow children as long as they're older than 10 years old. So you'll be surprised to hear that people have very strong feelings about this. Now, the trend is actually popping up worldwide, but it's become particularly popular in South Korea. There are around 500 no-kid zones, not including, by the way, spaces where children normally are already banned, places like bars and nightclubs. So Young Woo, who's a sociologist who studies families at Portland State University, said that no kid zones started popping up in South Korea about a decade ago in the context of social media reports of inappropriate behavior by parents at restaurants, like leaving diapers out and letting children run around. And one woman is apparently so against this that she actually lobbied the South Korean government to outlaw bans on children. And I want to give you the details on that in just a moment. But Sharon, I'm really wondering what you think about this, because while I can definitely empathize with being kind of annoyed with kids in certain spaces not being well behaved, this is gonna have an impact on moms too, right?
It's just more for us to take on. But listen, I have one child and I love her dearly, but kids are really annoying. They're noisy, they're messy, they give off odors, all of that, okay? But they still have value. That's not to say that they don't have value in our society and they shouldn't have some respect. I think it just has to be tempered. What we're really talking about is banning children because of adult etiquette, okay? And maybe kids don't belong everywhere. We saw a man cuss out a baby at 30,000 feet in the air not too long ago. I mean, he had a whole meltdown and cussed out a baby who was just being a baby. And so we have to figure something out so we can coexist with our former selves. I mean, we were babies once too, I think. And so I get it, but I just think this is now taking it too far. You said there were 500 establishments. Like, where are you supposed to take the baby now? Now the mom's gonna have to sit there and, I mean, come on. I've been there where I'm sitting at home with the baby, okay? And I still haven't really recovered everything that's necessary to function every day when you only have a baby to talk to.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I feel like that perspective gets left out of the conversation often, and it's a shame because I think a lot of moms, especially new moms, they feel, it's hard to be at home with a child and being able to go out there, spend time with friends, enjoy yourself. Like, that's important. I don't like the idea of restricting, just by extension of banning kids, you're also restricting the parents. Cenk, what do you think?
So first of all, to be fair to the guy who was yelling at the baby on the plane, he wouldn't want a no kid zone either because he's also a baby. Okay, so now I'm a parent. So Sharon made a really good point. She kind of halfway changed my mind in the middle of the story. So first, I agree with her, kids can be a pain in the ass. Okay, so I love my kids and I like taking them to different places. But if someone says, hey, listen, especially when they were younger, although still when they're 10 and 12 now, they can get loud, right? But I don't want a baby crying next to me in this particular meal. I'm not looking to ban them from the planet, but can I get a no kids zone here? Is that like allowed? I say, of course that should be allowed. So if you don't, like I got kids and if it says no kids zone, I go, okay, I'll go to a different cafe. What difference does it make? But Sharon made a really good point. It might make a difference if like half the restaurants were no kid zones. Or shoot, what if it's 2/3 of the restaurants that are no kid zones? Well, then I'm gonna get cranky and I'm gonna be like that guy on the plane, but I'm not gonna be yelling at the baby. I'm gonna be yelling at the no kid zone. So it kind of depends.
Well, okay, so listen, if we're talking about an infant or even a toddler who's having a meltdown or tantrum and you can't control them because they're crying, that's a different story. But oftentimes, some of the other behaviors that are indicative of kids can be, I don't know if control is the right word, but like I think we've all been in situations where the parents just let the kid do whatever they want, right? Like they're running around and they're like throwing things, and the parents are just kind of like off on their own, completely ignoring it. I think like, I don't know. But you can't mandate disciplining kids. So I guess this is a good middle ground. But one woman in South Korea not buying it, so she's lobbying pretty hard to put a stop to this. The first time South Korean lawmaker Young Hae-in, who's 33, ventured out of her home after having her son in 2021, she was struggling with postpartum depression, and her husband wanted to cheer her up with a stroll. But when Young's family tried to walk into a nearby cafe, they were turned away. It was a no-kid zone. Young was in tears after being refused entry, and this is what she said about it. It felt like society didn't want people like me. It hurt. And if you're already struggling with postpartum depression, which is very serious, very real, that's gonna sit heavy, and being able to go out and enjoy some time, with your family outside of the home is important. It really is. So look, I'm trying to be compassionate and think outside of my own interests. I don't have children. And sometimes I'll find myself in situations where there's like kids who aren't well behaved, acting up and kind of ruining everyone else's time. But it's not just about the kid, it's also about the mothers, it's also about the parents, it's also about understanding that we live in a society and we have to deal with other people around us, right? And I gotta be honest, there's a lot, I've had far more experiences with grown ass adults who got on my nerves, way more than children, okay? So when are we gonna ban that?
It disproportionately too affects mothers. It's real, because 9 times out of 10, the guy's gonna still be able to go out, blow off some steam, chill for a bit. You have mothers who are breastfeeding, and I understand, age makes a difference. Some kids are just, their behavior's horrific, and that's what they're allowed to do apparently. Or maybe, it doesn't come with a manual, parenting. And so it's difficult to control other beings sometimes for certain stretches, so to speak. That's definitely me. But at the end of the day, this really targets, I feel like, women. That's really what it does. And that's the part that just, no thanks, not one more thing.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So that's why I tell everybody to keep an open mind, because those are good perspectives I hadn't considered. I also like Sharon's new term for babies, our former selves.
Yeah, totally.
It's true. Okay, but I would say that's the same person we were just talking about in South Korea who was going through postpartum depression. First of all, let's keep it real. She started crying because she's going through postpartum depression, right? And so when she says like it felt like they didn't want people like me, no, they didn't mind you when you didn't have a kid. I think they're more worried about your kid than they are about you. I don't think people are intending it as discrimination, but I do see what Sharon is saying, that 9 out of 10 times it is going to be moms, and it might. If it's spread out enough, like it's widespread enough, then it might accidentally turn into discrimination, and that's a point of view I hadn't considered. And even though I'm a parent, I didn't mind these things, but maybe now it's possible that it can get carried away. In fact, we wanted to ask you guys anyway. I think it's an interesting question. Should businesses be allowed to ban kids? TYT.com/polls. Should businesses be allowed to ban kids? I like how unsophisticated that question is. I came up with it, and it's you're gonna get the link in the description box below. You can just click on that and answer that way. And if you're wondering, hey, why do those kids run around like that and the parents don't corral them? It's because sometimes parents just give up. We're like, I tried and I tried and I tried. What am I gonna do?
Yeah. But you can't banish it's such a slippery slope, because you can't banish everything that gets on your nerves, okay? Okay, pull up your pants next time. No rap music. No, it's just it gets to be one thing after another. We'll just put you over there, out of sight, out of mind. It doesn't necessarily work like that when you're talking about people. And that's really what this is about.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.